With the authority of the Council, I shall now confer the degree of Doctor of the University, and I call upon Acting Vice Chancellor Professor Dennis Lincoln to read the citation.
Chancellor, the Council of the University has resolved to award the degree of Doctor of the University to Adjunct Professor Brian Finn, A.O. Chancellor, Thomas Brian Finn was born in 1937 in Newcastle upon Tyne, England. He is a real Geordie, as you will hear very soon. He was educated at St Cuthbert's Grammar School, Newcastle upon Tyne, and since then has followed the fortune of the lads, who play for what he says is one of the world's great soccer teams, Newcastle United. Brian Finn's long and distinguished business career included over 35 years with IBM in marketing, software development, and from 1975 to 1993 in general management. He has lived and worked in the United Kingdom, the United States of America, India, Hong Kong, and Australia. From 1975 to 78, he was responsible for IBM's business in Afghanistan, Bangladesh, India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, and was based in New Delhi. From 1978 to 1980, he was responsible for IBM's business throughout Asia and was based in Hong Kong. In 1980, he became Chief Executive of IBM Australia and served as chairman from 1991 to 1998. During this period, he was also appointed as a director of Telstra and served in that capacity from 1991 to 1996. As well, he was chairman of City Power from 1994 to 95, director of Primac from 96 to 98, and director of Thor Australia from 1993 to 1999, and chairman of Sydney Ports Corporation from 1995 to 1998. Since 1996, Brian has been an independent director and chairman of Impart Corporation, one of the 6 cooperative multimedia centres established through seed funding from the federal government's Creative Nation program. Griffith is a shareholder in Impart and has greatly valued Brian's leadership and stewardship of Impart that has contributed to the creation of a respected organisation with sales of customised on-learning products to major government and private enterprises, both nationally and internationally. Brian Finn is also chairman today of M2M Corporation, deputy chairman of Southcore and PowerTel, and a director of AXA Asia Pacific and KidsNet. Brian Finn has served with distinction on many important public bodies. He served as chairman of the Australian Education Council Review of Post-Compulsory Education in 1991, which produced an influential report known as the Finn Report. He was a member of the Business Council of Australia from 1981 to 1993, chairman of the Council of the National Science and Technology Centre from 1998 to 1997, and chairman of the Australian National Training Authority from 1992 to 1995. He is currently a member of the Queensland Innovation Council. Brian Finn is a Fellow of the Institution of Engineers Australia, a Fellow of the Academy of Technological Sciences and Engineering, a Fellow of the Australian Computer Society, a Fellow of the Australian Institute of Company Directors, and a Fellow of the Australian Institute of Management. As an adjunct professor in the Graduate School of Management, Brian Finn has been an active contributor to the work of the university. His contributions range through a series of corporate issues, from international human resource management to business ethics. Brian Finn was the chair of the university's Information Services Policy Committee from its inception in 1998 to 2000. He brought to this role a thorough understanding of contemporary industry issues in the area of information and communications and a business perspective. Brian Finn's outstanding contributions to the community were recognised when he was appointed an Officer of the Order of Australia in 1990 for services to business, industry and education, and when he received an Honorary Doctor of Letters from the University of Western Australia in 1999. It is fitting that the Griffith University should honour Brian Finn in recognition of his distinguished contributions to the business community and to the university. Chancellor, it is with the greatest pleasure that I present to you Thomas Brian Finn, AO, for admission to the degree of Doctor of the University.
I'd now like to call upon Adjunct Professor Brian Finn, AO, Doctor of our University, to deliver the occasional address.
Chancellor, Acting Vice-Chancellor, members of Council, university staff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and most especially graduates, good evening. As you might appreciate, this is a very special evening for me. I'm really delighted to receive an honorary degree from the university, and I'd like to thank you, Chancellor, on behalf of the university, for recognizing me in this way. In the course of my business career, I came to realize how vitally important education is to the success and progress of business, as well as to the personal development and enrichment of individuals. For that reason, I feel that I've been privileged to play a small part in helping support the fine work done by our education institutions in general and Griffith University in particular. Long may your success and progress continue. My real pleasure this evening, however, is to be sharing it with you, the graduates. Have you received the degrees you've earned, and as you celebrate that wonderful achievement with friends and with family. I'm sure this is a special event for everyone here, and you must be bursting to have the formal proceedings end so that you can get on to that celebration. And here am I, taking up precious time and holding you all back. You'll groan when I tell you that I was asked to speak for 15 minutes. But frankly, the thrill of receiving my degree is matched only by my nervousness at having to address such an important audience and say something that might be of interest. So I do have some good news. I intend to be through within 10 minutes, and you know you can trust me because I'm a doctor. First, thank you. First and foremost, I'd like to offer my congratulations and good wishes to the graduates and to address my remarks for the next few minutes to you. I'm sure that you must be so pleased to have completed your degree programs and to be attending this ceremony today. May I suggest to you, however, that today should not mark the end of your studies and your education, but rather that you should view it as an important milestone in a lifetime of learning. The days when you could earn a degree and enter a profession in which you spend the remainder of your working lives are long gone, and the pace of change is picking up. Perhaps I might illustrate what I mean by reflecting on some incidents in my own life and career that brought home to me just how rapidly change has happened and what it's meant in day-to-day living. In the mid-1970s, I was living in Houston, Texas, working on a software development project at the Johnson Space Center for my company, IBM. My mother, who was then in her 70s, came to visit us, and in the process of showing her around, I took her to the Space Center. Among the exhibits were several vehicles that had been into space, some around the moon. They'd returned and they'd been put on display. My mother was in awe, and I asked her what she thought of it all. What she said pulled me up with a jolt. She said that she found it all very hard to believe because she could remember as a little girl being aware of the news that the Wright brothers had become the first people ever to fly. It really brought home to me how far we'd come in one person's lifetime. My father's background also showed me in a very different way how much things have changed on the social front. He died many years ago, but I had occasion recently to go through some of his old papers. Among them was the legal document that registered his apprenticeship as a fitter and turner. It was dated 1919, and it bound him for a period of 5 years to a company of masters where he was apprenticed for pay of 7 shillings a week, that's $1 at today's exchange rate, rising to double that in the 5th year. It was interesting to note that his father had to sign the document and was obligated to make sure that his son complied with the rules of the masters, rules that are quite bizarre by today's standards. Let me mention just 3 of 11 offences that carried fines if you were caught in the act. Number 1, for washing hands or making any other preparation to leave work before the whistle blows, fined 1 day's pay. For using offensive language to any foreman, fined 2 days' pay. And the one that amuses me most, for exceeding the limit of 30 minutes in the lavatory each week, 1 day's pay. I promise you I didn't make it up, and you can see that things have changed in the workplace, thank goodness. Finally, I might briefly reflect on what I've seen happen in the computer industry since the days when I joined IBM just over 40 years ago in 1959. At that time, there were very few computers being used commercially around the world, a few hundred at most, and it wasn't until a year or 2 after I joined that the transistorized computer replaced valve machines and became commercially viable. I recall in 1961 making my first computer sale to a big customer. The computer was quite large and needed a special air-conditioned room, about 8 meters square. It was too expensive for most firms to buy outright, so they rented it for around $5,000 a month. It took a team of engineers about a week to commission and install, after which the customer spent several months getting their own applications working. Each week, the computer would be taken out of service for a day for an engineer to perform routine maintenance. Breakdowns once or twice a month weren't unusual, and it didn't have any ability to communicate with another computer. If you fast forward that to today, or rather a couple of months ago, I arranged the purchase of a new computer for a friend. I installed it myself in less than an hour, after which it was fully operational. It sits on a desk in a normal living room, and it will operate indefinitely without any need to switch it off. It has vastly more storage, facilities, and computing power than the machine I mentioned earlier. And it can exchange text, voice, and images with other computers pretty well anywhere in the world. And the cost, all up, about $2,000, less than half the cost of 1 month's rent for the machine I first sold. But enough of looking back. I hope those fleeting personal memories might have touched a chord with parallels in your mind about how quickly the things we think are wondrous today become commonplace and then totally out of date. All of which returns me to where I started. Keeping pace with change doesn't just happen. You have to make a determined effort to stay up to date if your career is to progress and if you're to get the most out of life. Learning, whether on the job or by attending classes and studying, is the key to it all. So I urge you, don't view your hard-earned degree as the end of your education. Think of it as a passport to a lifetime of learning. That way, you'll be able to enjoy and to relish all that change brings to our lives, personal and professional. With a little luck and a lot of hard work, you'll be able to make your own mark on directing the course of change and shaping the future of our world. One final word, if I may. In some respects, our lives have become dominated by technology, by things. And if I've learned anything at all, it's that people matter much more than technology, or more than anything else for that matter. Pretty well everything we do depends on our relationships with other people. As you go about building your personal and professional future, I urge you to pay most attention to the people in your lives. I assure you that in doing so, you'll improve your chances of success, but more importantly, you'll have a much better time. Again, my congratulations and good wishes to you as you graduate today. Congratulations, too, to the people who have helped and supported you in reaching this important point. Well done. Thank you.